I'm Dorinda. Welcome to Black Talk with Dorinda. And I have with me in studio today Chris Herring, my co-host for today.
Right.
Well, today we're talking about three issues. And the very first one that we're going to talk about is a local issue to San Antonio, the non-discrimination ordinance. Chris, tell me, what do you know about that?
Well, I know that the non-discrimination ordinance has electrified our community.
It has, especially the Christian community.
Well, and then those who also are in the
LGBT.
BT
Yes.
community, they are also electrified. And,
Yeah.
and everyone believes that someone is ultimately trying to take something from them.
Very true.
I mean, it's all about rights and giving people
Or how some people
accommodations.
feel that they're being denied their rights in the
Right.
LGBT community.
Right.
Yeah.
But the Christian community is very vocal, and what I'm seeing, because I see it on Facebook to LinkedIn to Twitter,
Yeah.
a very divisive argument, and every group is trying to, make claim that they're right.
Is being violated or suppressed somehow, or will be if this
Yeah.
ordinance is passed. One of the things that I found really electrifying, as you've called it, was Councilwoman Lisa Chan was recorded without her knowledge talking about the ordinance.
Right.
And made some very disturbing comments, or her personal opinion, I guess you could say that. And so that really upset a lot of people, at least on my Facebook page and my feed. Lots of people were both ways. Some people said that, yeah, she had a right to say that, and
Freedom
she
of
didn't
speech.
know that she was being recorded.
Right.
And then on the other hand, there were others who said, well, it's good that we heard that that is what she really feels. And then, of course, she did come out, I believe it was earlier this week on Monday, to say she has a right to her own opinion. That's her First Amendment right.
Right.
And, you know,
And that was a part of the ordinance piece. I mean, the part of the ordinance even said that if you were an appointed official, that you could be removed based off of your words or your deeds.
oh, boy.
And when you use those types of words, it to me removes a due process that our Constitution provides us.
Yeah.
And there was also provision that would bar you based off of your previous words and deeds from having a future appointment or running for an
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
So that from the Christian perspective, that was not a good situation at all.
Very true. So it sounds like our council people have a lot more work to do on that issue before
Well,
they can
it's
move
just
on.
not our council people; it's our entire city.
Yeah.
Because what I'm seeing is, and they say that we are a loving city, but I've seen more hate come out of this, and I'm just reminded of the fact that we always have to practice what we preach. So if we call
Absolutely.
ourselves Christian, then we need to act in love.
Very true.
And that's how we should always carry ourselves.
And you'll have the last word on that. I totally agree with you. So let's move to something else happening in the state of Texas, and it has to do with the Justice Department intends to, if they have not done so already, to file suit against the state of Texas regarding voter ID
Voter
laws.
ID laws, right?
And so this is kind of in response to the Supreme Court's recent decision concerning voter ID. So what do you think of that? Are we in the state of Texas, do you think that with that law that voting rights will be suppressed, especially among African Americans and Hispanic voters?
Well, I know people who worked at the polls who tried to make sure that they saw justice occur.
Yeah.
The Civil Rights Act that we have and our Voting Rights Act can't be compromised by putting layers of bureaucratic rules in place. We have some of our elderly who, quite frankly, their vote was denied by giving them these layers
Give me one example of a layer.
Well, layer is requiring, in terms of the ID, it's having to show up to the polls with more than one ID.
More than one ID. Yeah.
I mean, what's wrong with the state issued ID?
Okay. And I have no problem with that. I actually am in favor of showing your identification when you show up to vote. If we are issued voter ID registration cards, then that should be all that's required.
Right.
And if they say you need to bring your driver's license or some other, as you said, state-issued ID, that should be it.
That should be it.
However, I would hate to see the state of Texas move to what at least one other state has done. I believe it's North Carolina. Could be South Carolina.
I think it's North Carolina.
Where they have, in addition to requiring identification, they have now shortened the time for early voting.
Right.
So there are those kinds of tactics to me. I mean, if voter fraud is what they're concerned about, that's one thing. But when there are really not a lot of instances where there's been voter fraud, but it seems like the things that are being done to suppress the vote. We don't want certain people to come out and vote.
Voter discouragement, and it depends on who the candidates are. You will see either party will sway to have, the ability to suppress the vote or to encourage it. It really depends on who the candidates are, I think.
But I think regardless, whatever is being done, we have to, as the African American community, we have to try and be a step ahead. So if they're saying that we need ID, get the ID. If it's going to be the same way for everybody across the board, and I don't think that that is unreasonable. And I know you were saying, well, we do have our elderly, Miss So-and-so that's been voting ever since she was allowed to vote. And they know, Miss So-and-so in her small West Texas community, everybody knows her, whether she has an ID or not. So if she's going to be denied the right to vote because she does not present that ID card, then it is a problem. But I think we need to figure out a way to accommodate those people.
Yeah, but is this really an issue of voter ID or minority vote suppression?
Well, I think we know the answer to that.
Okay, let's go to the next topic.
Okay, next topic is the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial in Washington, D.C. As we've discussed,
I have a dream.
Yes, as we've discussed before on this show, next week or this month marks the 50th anniversary of King's landmark March on Washington and the speech, I Have a Dream. One of the things that I'm concerned about this mainly because the monument that was commissioned, that contract was given to a Chinese national, not even an American Chinese person. So those dollars went somewhere else. But here's the thing. In order to put one of Dr. King's quotes on the memorial, it was shortened. And so there was some controversy about that quote. So now with the anniversary coming up, the quote has been blasted out. I don't know if there's going to be a sheet taped up over it or what kind of ghetto look it's going to have to it. But I'm concerned about that.
Well, don't be concerned about it because they're going to get that right.
You think so?
I do.
By next week?
I don't know if it's going to be by next week. To me, I think it's even more interesting, not necessarily the quote, but the fact that the president's going to be giving a speech in the same place that Martin Luther King Jr. gave a speech. And so my thing is he trying to do a better job than Dr. King did? I mean, is it competition?
Well, I don't think so. But we'll have to further discuss that the next time.
Well, I'm sure that our audience can give their opinion. Okay. I'd like to hear it.
And so they can give their opinion by commenting below if you're watching this on YouTube. So I am Dorinda Roll, and I will see you next time on Black Talk with Dorinda.